technology era, there should be such a provision that when you are sick, you are allowed to attend parliamentary sessions virtually, or when you travel. An example is Honorable Kasune, who has a family out of Zambia, who the family lives in the US. When she travels, she's always allowed to attend parliamentary sessions virtually. So it was expected that as human beings, as Ubuntu, culture would have dictated that we give a chance to Tasila to continue mourning our father. But if we were pressed for the demand, or on the demand, or by the demand of the people of Chawama that they needed representation, we could have gone by the recommendation of the disciplinary committee to allow her to be attending parliamentary sessions virtually.
So why do you think the Speaker overlooked that, suggestion to say, let her attend Parliament virtually?
Why do you think she did that yourself? Because if 10 members of Parliament makes a recommendation that, considering all things, let us allow this person to have a leave extended and to sit virtually, why would one person decide to overrule the 10?
Because I'm looking at the authority of this committee, like you've said,
yes.
Honorable.
Yes.
How powerful is this committee if one person can overrule their decision?
Very clearly, they are toothless. They have no power, and I don't even understand why matters have to be referred to that committee if the Speaker will continue to overrule such recommendations. And this is not the first time. She has overruled recommendations of this Speaker several times. What is the justification? There is no justification. What is the work of a member of Parliament? The work of the members of Parliament is to legislate, to be part and parcel of the registration process. Can't you do that virtually? You can. Besides, even if some MPs attend Parliament, have you ever heard them speak? There are several of those MPs who have been attending Parliament from day one to day end when we close Parliament, but they've never said a word.
Right.
So would it make a difference if we allowed somebody to be attending virtually to those who sits in that Parliament and only shout, yeah, yeah, yeah? Besides, those who attend virtually are even allowed to contribute virtually. So that is why we are shocked that the Speaker makes these decisions without having an iota of empathy. But anyway, we are here. There is a by-election in Chawama, and unfortunately, it must be filled. Now, the people of Chawama deserves a leader who is going to take over from where Tasila left. If you ask the people of Chawama, Tasila has done a remarkable work, remarkable job. A number of projects I've seen have been lined up that Tasila did, some of which she initiated with her own resources, like the refurbishment of one of the football grounds. So Tasila deserves a person who is passionate about service, a person who understands the needs of the constituents, somebody with enough energies to run around the way Tasila did. This need is what prompted us to go and look for that person. And we, the Movement for Good Governance, also referred to as Ichabache, found a person who would fit this description of the person that the people of Chawama needed. And the gentleman is called George Mwenya Mumbi. But for the sake of elections, we're simply calling him George Mwenya. A community leader, a church leader, is one of the conveners in one of the biggest churches in Chawama, Busokololo Church of the UCZ. He's grown up in Chawama. He's been schooled in Chawama. So I think that the people of Chawama, even though they cannot be a perfect replacement for Tasila, have found something that would come close to what they had in the name of Honorable Tasila.
Okay. All right. So you've talked about the candidate, and I'm sure you know what plans this candidate have for Chawama. Can you share with us some of his, plans for the constituency of Chawama?
First of all, you must know that this particular candidate, when he goes through, is only going to be an MP for maybe 4 months, 5 months, before Parliament is dissolved.
Indeed.
So we have agreed with this gentleman that his preoccupation should simply be to complete all the developmental projects that Honorable Tasila had. Okay. Because if we were to insist that he initiates new projects, he doesn't even have time. Right. Okay? Right. Even if you look at the dictates of the CDF, by the time they would have been completing the procedures, they would have actually been, almost closing up, would have actually been closing up Parliament by way of a dissolution. So we've, tentatively agreed that his priority must be to complete whatever developmental activities. I'm aware of a number of projects that Tasila had embarked on with her team, and I think that will be the priority of this gentleman.
Great, awesome. So why should people vote for him?
I think that people should vote for George because George, having been born and bred in Chawama, understands the needs of the people of Chawama. Being youthful, I think that a time has come for the young generation to arise. Oh, by the way, out of all the candidates that are vying for the Chawama seat, George is the only youth.
Oh,
now
that's interesting.
Contrary to the assertions of the ruling party, who have intimated that they would want to, out of the blues, start recognizing young people to give them an opportunity to serve or to sit on the table of decision making. They demonstrated the opposite in Chawama. They went and picked another fossil. I was expecting that as people who spoke so loudly about inclusion of young people, inclusion of the women and the disabled, the UPND should have demonstrated that desire by picking a youth or a woman or at least a disabled. They went and picked another old guy. For us as a young people's movement, the movement for good governance, we are actually living our agenda. We have demonstrated that we are designed to give an opportunity to young people, and that is why we have adopted a youth. Not a youth in simply pronouncement, a youth in reality is only 33 years old. So we're very proud, and we feel that this gentleman, having lived in Chawama, having experienced Chawama, being a community leader, being a leader that goes into community through the church programs, understands the needs of the people of Chawama, and therefore is the best suited person to be able to carry on the mantle that Honorable Tasila has left for the people of Chawama.
Great. All right. We can only wish George all the best in the by-election in Chawama.
Obviously.
Great. So you've just mentioned, Honorable, to say your party is giving so many chances to the young people, all the chances actually, to take up the leadership positions, especially in this beautiful country called Zambia. Now, just some few days ago, if not 2 days ago, the Honorable Minister, Jack Mwimbu, actually called you out to say, much as you are advocating for youths to take up leadership positions through Ichawaiche, you actually voted against Bill 7. What do you have to say on that?
Bill 7 was not about the inclusion of young people, the women and the disabled. Far from it, they used the proportional representation simply as a deceptive catch. It was a carrot that they dangled to the young people to get their support. This is a carrot they used to dangle to the women and the disabled to entice them into supporting the agenda of Bill 7. Indeed, if we were to be very realistic, the members will tell you that ichikwanka pachimwena mapalani. What that literally means, that he who pronounces, good for you in future must be able to demonstrate in little ways that they will be able to do much bigger things if time and chance allows. The UPND, who are pronouncing recognition of young people and the marginalized in general, the women and the disabled, should have at least demonstrated in the past that they really do consider these marginalized groups.
In the past?
In the past. Let's go back to the adoption process of 2021. How many young people did the UPND adopt? I think you can take stock of all those who went to parliament, how many. Because you see, the argument as to competition, some constituencies in Southern Province are almost uncontested because of the popularity of the UPND in the Southern Province. Places like Wengwa, where the president comes from, you can actually put anybody and they will go through. Why not put a disabled in such a constituency? Why not put a youth in such a constituency? So there are so many strong constituencies or strongholds of the UPND where the UPND could have taken advantage to recognize this marginalized grouping of people. They failed. When the president was given constitutional authority or power to nominate 8 people, how many youth did the president nominate? How many disabled did the president nominate? 0. I thought that that was an opportunity for the president to demonstrate that he also values the women, or rather the youth, and the disabled. When the president was constituting his a cabinet, how many youth? None. When the president was making appointments of permanent secretaries, district commissioners, people to go into the foreign service, how many did he appoint? Now, no ordinary person, save for people's relatives. And I have stood to challenge people that I know of so many UPND relatives who have gone into foreign service. I found some of them in the embassies during some of these tours we make as parliamentarians. I found some in Brussels, I found some in Mozambique, I found some in the places I've gone. Okay? So
they are relatives to the UPND members.
Yes. Yes. Do you want me to mention them here?
Please mention.
No, I don't. I won't mention them here. But the point I'm trying to make is that this carrot that the UPND has dangled to excite young people that they are going to be recognized. I want to tell the young people today, those positions are not for you. They are for their own relatives and the people who sings loudest for them. That is all. We should never continue, or we should not continue being deceived as a Zambian people over such pronouncements. So, the assertions of Jack Mwimbu that I should have been the first one to support Bill 7 because it speaks of inclusion, I don't get entertained by such deception myself. Because clearly, like I've said, if the UPND really cared or really were committed to inclusion, they should have demonstrated it. But what did they do? As always, they use a deceptive card. They dangled a carrot to the women who naively, some of them supported. But to a larger extent, the majority of the women saw the lies and rejected Bill 7 through the NGOCs. I know they were able to deceive a few young people in some universities, but a larger section of young people actually saw the lies and have said no to Bill 7.
What do you think is the agenda behind Bill 7? Since you're saying they used a deceptive card, like a carrot, obviously. I know the story of a carrot. I know how it works. What do you think is the agenda behind Bill 7?
Well, the agenda of the UPND behind Bill 7 is wanting to prolong their stay in power.
Okay.
It is not a secret. It's an open secret that the UPND are finished like a shoe on the ground. Tell me where the UPND will be able to get support. Maybe in just the 3 provinces where they are too strong, but even there, in the Southern Province, in the Western Province, in the Northwestern Province, they have no support. I have spoken to people in the Northwestern. I was in Northwestern people. I interacted with a number of people. There's no development in Northwestern Province. Northwestern Province today should have been the most developed province because that is a home of the most minerals today. Copper, gold, uranium, and everything else. Why is Northwestern not recording any meaningful development today? It's because the UPND looks at the Northwesterners and they know ababena balefwana mutabalefwa bakatuvotera. Okay, that is why, yeah, you know where you take people for a ride, you know where you continue to deceive people, okay, you know, the Northwesterners, you know, have been taken for a ride by the UPND, and the sad part is that the Northwesterners have not realized that we are being taken for a ride. They are a home to a hoard of minerals, but there's nothing that is being given back to the Northwesterners. By now, I can tell you this, if we had a responsible leadership, the Northwestern province should have been the most developed. Okay? So, the UPND realizes that they are weak on the ground because people have seen behind, or they have seen inside their lies. They have seen all their lies. Because it's very nice to pronounce, we'll do this, we'll do that before you get into power. But if you are dealing with an incompetent lot of leadership, this is what we get. A poor show, as the case has been of the UPND since they took over in 2021. So, realizing that the ground is not favorable, they've had to start playing Imingalato. That is why they started, number one, by kicking out of the equation one of their biggest competitor, which was PF. Okay. They sponsored, you know very well that the UPND sponsored, you know, the troubles in the UPN, or rather in the PF. Evidence is very clear to suggest that what happened in the PF is the work of the UPND. Number one, Chavinga goes and holds a convention protected heavily by the police, even when a foreign president was around. Who does that? On Independence Day, you divide the attention of the police away from a visiting head of a state, only to go and police Chavinga. The Register of Society, the courts have ruled several times that the ownership of the party belongs to this. The Register of Society has failed, has refused to change the ownership. So they started by now trying to manipulate their biggest competitors. Secondly, they started now working around amending their constitution to give them unfettered powers around the elections. As an example, now that Bill 7 has passed, the ECZ have unfettered powers to actually kick you out of the race just on nomination. You know, the ECZ now have got so much powers that when you file in nominations, they can simply tell you, according to the constitution, you are not qualified. The president now has got so much power that he can just say, takwagama elections because of ABCD. So I postpone my election. That is what Bill 7 is saying. Okay.
Well,
so
what clause exactly gives you that power?
Bill 7 is all about prolonging their stay in power. Nothing else. Imagine they wanted to go to an extent of even stopping people from going to participate in elections as independents. You know, when I was left by PF, twice, 2016, 2021. 2021 I just said, and because the constitution allows every citizen to take part in, the governance of this country, I went and participated as an independent. And today I am an independent member of parliament. We have an independent aspirant in Chawama because the laws allows every citizen to participate. But they wanted to remove that clause because they were scared that their own people would jump out of the very unpopular political party called UNIP to go, or rather UPND, to go and stand as independents. Until after so much noise, that is when they backed off and amended that Bill 7. Interestingly, these people wanted to even remove by-elections. By-elections are there for people to choose their leaders. By-elections. Because they wanted to have so much power to remove you and replace you with their relatives.
But don't you think the reason was justifiable, the financial reason?
There's no justification to take away the powers of the citizens to choose their leader. What is democracy? Democracy entails, giving people their rights and freedoms to be able to make choices. Okay? The choices of leadership is bestowed on the people through the Constitution. All right? You can't take away that power. Governance is expensive. You can't gamble with people's rights because it befits you.
Right.
Okay? That decision they wanted to make of avoiding by-elections was the most useless decision one can ever or think of making. As usual, people cried foul and they backed off and they made an amendment. Because that would have been fatal for a democracy. Do you know what it entails to give powers to a political party to be, appointing people in positions as member of parliament? What does it mean? It would mean the people elect you today, you are standing on the UPND, because tomorrow you fail to support a particular bill, they remove you and they replace another one who is going to at least do what they want. It means if you fail to cough when they say cough or jump when they tell you to jump, they will remove you and replace another one. The reason why it is not easy for political parties today to expel members is because when you expel a member of parliament, the seat will be subjected to a by-election, which is a gamble. Very few political parties today are prepared to gamble their political seat. But with that suggestion, we're going to have a situation where they can remove you and replace you very easily. But I'm glad that there was so much pressure they had to reverse that. Imagine they come to the people, excite the people with delimitation. We are going to create so many constituents, so you must support this because then you are going to have development. We cannot continue to be a gullible people as Zambians that we must be deceived this easy. Delimitation is not what brings development to constituencies. It is the political will of the people in government that brings development to the people.
So delimitation is not necessary, is it?
What is delimitation? Delimitation, by the way, contrary to the lies of the UPND, does not mean you create new constituencies. That is not what delimitation means. Delimitation simply means you realign the boundary, the electoral boundaries. You realign them or you rename them, whichever suits the agenda. In this case, I'll give an example of Quito, which has got 5 constituencies. If you feel that the 5 constituencies are not evenly distributed, you can realign the boundaries without changing or creating a new constituency. It is called delimitation. Because there is a constitutional provision that requires that after 10 years, you must do a delimitation. Now, these people have interestingly been suggesting that the Constitution says you must create new constituencies after 10 years. That is not what the Constitution says. At least me, who did a diploma in law, can actually tell you that what the law says under delimitation is after 10 years, you can realign, rename, if you so wish, constituencies.
And not
it does not mean create new constituencies. It is not by creating new constituencies that then you will have more CDF. Besides, CDF was at 1.6 million under PF, right?
Right.
Where are we now? We're at 40 million. Did we create a new constituency to increase the CDF?
No.
No. So why would anybody now want to suggest that to increase more money in the communities, we must delimitate? You can still add more money beyond the 40 million that they will be receiving next year by simply going to appropriate under the budget.
All right.
It does not mean you have to create new constituencies.
All right, Honorable, let me remind the viewers that they can come through. In case you want to be part of the program, feel free to call. The line is open right now. The number is showing on the screen, and you can use that number to contribute on the program. Remember, let's stick to the point, and the point that we are looking at this time around is Bill 7. Voting by MPs, was it betrayal, or maybe they were just, demonstrating their democratic rights? Now, some MPs actually voted for Bill 7. You voted against it. Why?
In fact, I did not vote.
You didn't vote?
I didn't vote.
Why didn't you vote?
Look, Bill 7 is an illegality.
Okay.
At least you are aware, according to the pronouncement of the Constitutional Court, the process that gave rise or that gave birth to Bill 7 was declared to have been unconstitutional by the Constitutional Court. There's this argument which even Baneri Muti wanted to put up with me, even suggesting, yo, Taimuni ba a lawyer, you can't interpret the law. You don't have to be a lawyer to interpret the law. Okay? You just need to know the law, and you can know the law by studying. Are you aware that 99% of the things you know today, you didn't get them from school? Did you get the idea of dressing up? Did you learn how to dress up from school? No. Did anybody teach you how to eat from school? No. 99% of things we know, we only picked them on our journey through life. To suggest by Baneri that we can only comment on legal matters or interpret the law when we are lawyers is completely false. And Baneri should not do that. You can study the law and not end up being a lawyer. And you can still be able to interpret. What is so difficult about interpretation? Even when you take a matter to court for interpretation, there are simple basic rules of interpretation. One of it is mischief law or literal interpretation. Those are basic things that we learn even when we also were studying, a diploma in law. So, but the issue, my dear brother, is we cannot continue to be deceived in this. Okay? The point we were trying to remind me what again we were trying to argue around.
Why didn't you vote for the bill?
Bill 7 is an illegality, right? As pronounced by the courts. The court said the process you followed as by UPND was not founded on the law. What does that mean? It is not legal. What happens to the product of
that process?
It becomes what? Illegal also. That is what the law holds. Lord Denning held many years ago that anything built on nothing is nothing or gives way to nothing. Okay? It becomes a nullity when you create something out of an illegal process. So from the word go, Bill 7 has been void, has been a nullity, it has been an illegality.
So if it has been an illegality, why is it that other MPs voted for it?
So now,
is it because they support illegalities?
Now, so when the Constitutional Court pronounced Bill 7 to be an illegality, what happened to the UPN? What did they do? They went to Parliament and deferred the bill, right?
Actually, the bill was deferred before the Constitutional Court.
No, it was deferred the day before the judgment of the Constitutional Court.
Right.
They had actually preempted. They knew actually the rulings of the court. Okay. They actually deferred it a day before the court ruling. Okay? They realized that they had messed up because the Constitutional Court caught them offside. So then they decided to restart the process the same way it must start, by constituting a technical committee that goes around the communities or the countryside to collect views. What happened to the submissions of the people? The technical committee took those submissions, prepared a report to the president. The president, according to law, must have now taken those submissions to the Ministry of Justice to now coin up a bill, which should have now been published in a government gazette for at least 30 days. The problem that the UPND found themselves with is that, according to the rules of Parliament, when you withdraw a bill, you cannot reintroduce another bill with a similar agenda or with the same agenda.
So that's what they're trying to avoid?
Exactly.
Okay.
The bill they deferred out of Parliament should have been withdrawn. Why they didn't withdraw that bill is because they knew in the life of this Parliament that we were sitting, they could never have introduced another bill with a similar or the same agenda. So even when they went doing all that collection using the technical committee, they even knew that they will still come back to that same bill. That is why they were adamant to withdraw it. You remember the WASIS Forum having a meeting with the president, what they insisted? The WASIS Forum insisted, Mr. President, you must start this process from the word go, meaning that can you withdraw it completely so that you start the process from the scratch. And the scratch means go and consult the people using a technical committee, which he did. He constituted a technical committee that went consulting the people, but when they consulted the people, the product of that consultation, where has it gone? To nothing. Interestingly, they even commit another illegality. The work of the technical committee ends at them submitting a report to the president, and they become a functus official, meaning that they no longer hold the authority of an office to continue operating as such. But they make another illegality by making that committee, the technical committee, go to submit to a committee of parliament. It is completely unheard of. We've never had a situation like this in the country, because I'll tell you, my dear brother, the most contentious issues about or in regards to amending the constitution has always been two things: the process and the content. You must first of all agree as all the stakeholders on the process, and that process in most instances has been enshrined in a law.
Okay.
Like the last time we tried to amend the law using Bill 10.
All right, just hold your thought, Honorable. Let's see if we can talk to someone who continue from there.
Hello?
Okay.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, thank you. Give us your name, madam.
This is Leah calling from Chawama.
Leah from Chawama. Please go ahead, Leah.
I want to ask what Bill 7 means.
So you
What
want
does
to,
it mean?
what does it mean?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right, Leah.
Honorable Bin question.
Okay, all right. I'm sure he's going to explain. Thank you so much, Leah, for calling. Okay. All right, you can also call. The number is showing on the screen. You can call just like Leah from Chawama there. She's asking what Bill 7 is. I believe she doesn't know.
Leah,
which means you MPs had a lot of work to do, isn't it?
so Leah, Bill 7 starts, or let me explain it very simple. When you want to amend the constitution, you have to decide what laws in the constitution you want to amend. If you say Zambia should not be a Christian nation, you remove it, you must put it, or we want to remove the Christian declaration, Mwalemba 1, remove Christian declaration. Or we want to now become a Muslim society or country, Mwalemba 2, Zambia shall become a Muslim. Number 3, no, men should start wearing skirts, Mwalemba. Now, all those Mwalemba that you must change in the constitution, you must put them into a format they call a bill. So to change the law in parliament, you must take to parliament what is called a bill. So Bill 7 is what they called that bill that contained mu constitution. For instance, they wanted to remove by-elections. They wanted to remove or to discontinue people, or rather to stop people from standing as independents. So all those things they were proposing, they put them down and they created what they called a bill. Now that bill, they called it Bill 7. But PF Benaidia bill, right, that Bill 10. That is what it means. So Bill 7 is a compilation, a list of all the clauses in the constitution, the current constitution, that the UPND wanted to change. Remember, all they wanted to do by UPND was to amend the constitution by removing or adding a few things in the constitution. Now, all those things they were proposing to add or remove, they needed to produce a list. That list is called a bill. Now, this bill is what they called the Bill 7. Others would call it other names, whether Bill 20. If we got to Bill 100.
All right, I hope Hopefully you got the point correctly there. We're still picking up calls. You can come through and be part of the program. Honorable Binwell Mpundu MP is with me tonight on the program. And we asked you talking about Bill 7. So I asked you a question, Honorable. You said this process was illegal. And the bill itself is illegal. But, you know, the MPs, the honorables, the most respectable people that represent the people in different constituencies, voted for this. Do you say they voted for an illegality and they were supporting illegality?
Yes. You know what power does? Power blinds. In fact, they say power corrupts absolutely. When it is convenient, when you have power, you can actually commit illegalities. You can walk away with the crimes. Some of the people we are seeing being arrested today are people that committed crimes in the last government. But because the law protected them, they were superhuman beings. Nobody could touch them. Today, there are UPND people who are committing crimes, and they are going scot-free because the law is on their side. Okay? The same way is today the UPND enjoy power, that they can abrogate the law, they can rape the constitution, you know, they can mutilate the constitution, and still they'll be okay. It happened in the PF times, during our times, when the court had ruled, or rather it was argued that ministers should not occupy office after the dissolution of parliament. Some lawyers within PF interpreted otherwise and allowed the ministers to continue in office. It was okay then because the PF had the power. But until the court ruled that this was unlawful, what happened to the ministers? They were made to pay. All the monies they received or they got paid while they sat in those offices during that period. So today, it may look like by UPND they are okay, they are right. The next time the courts will be impartial and they will rule that whatever happened at Bill 7 was actually unlawful. What do you think will happen? It will mean all the constituencies that will be created, the 70, will become illegal. All the people who will be elected or will go to parliament through this process will all become illegal. And what happens to the monies they could have paid?
They have to pay back.
They have to pay back. But what happens to the people that could have been part of this process? They would have committed what? A crime. Don't you think they need to be punished? They will be punished. That is why for me, I was very clear on that day on Monday. I am going to debate because I want to remind you by UPN that we are about to commit a crime.
Okay.
We are about to engage in illegality. But when I'm done debating, I'm going to walk out in Kunganda because I don't want to be part of
an illegality.
That is what I did.
All right. Let's pick up more calls, Honorable. Hello. Good evening. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Good evening. You're live on Millennium TV.
Hello.
Good evening. Thank you. Your name and where you're calling us from? Well, we can give you that privilege. Please go ahead.
Good evening, Makalamba.
So I just want to ask on the what do you think about the because when you are debate or when you pass that bill, you never considered the views from the technical committee. So in the next place, what was the purpose of the views? Answer my question.
All right. Thank you so much for calling. We appreciate. Before you answer that question, Honorable, you just mentioned that the MPs that voted for the bill participated in an illegality. Why do you think they did that?
No, sometimes it's because of lack of understanding. The same way the ministers under the PF were misled by lawyers that it was constitutionally okay for them to continue sitting in their offices, is the same way these MPs have been misled by the UPND lawyers who have argued. Interestingly, they've argued even against great constitutional minds. We have a constitutional lawyer who is based in South Africa who has made serious submissions around the illegality of Bill 7. They still ignored his submission, to the select committee. They still ignored his submission to the government, the Republic of, or the UPND government. So the UPND lawyers have found all the justification to suggest that this is okay. The Speaker has found all the justification to proceed with the illegalities. They enjoy power. There will be a time when neutrality will kick in and the judiciary will kick in and interpret the law correctly, and all those who could have been misled will now be on their own.
Are you able to answer the question?
Yes.
By Anonymous?
The Anonymous says, why did we even constitute the technical committee if their submissions were not necessary? Let me tell you by Anonymous. Amending the constitution all these years from Bakaunda starts with the composition of legal minds, at least minds that understand constitutional issues. Okay? And there have been different names of these committees. And they are not all, the committees may not be completely just lawyers. It may even comprise people from different sectors, so that the coverage is wide. But there is always a committee. The committee's responsibility, according to the terms of reference that are always given, is to go and interact with the citizens, because to amend the law, the proposals of what must be amended must come from where? From the people. All those submissions from the people are put together, and that is where the process starts. When the technical committee puts together the submissions of the people, those submissions are coined up into a report. This report is handed over to the president, Nenchito Yaba Committee Nishi Yapwa. The president then goes to cabinet, presents that report to the cabinet, and the cabinet is supposed to now task the Ministry of Justice, which has drafters, who now should draft together those submissions into a bill. That bill must now be gazetted. It must be published in the newspaper by a government gazette for 30 days. After 30 days, that bill must now be taken to Parliament for consideration. That is when Parliament now puts together a committee, a selected committee that now starts to interrogate, different stakeholders to speak to that bill. What has happened in this case of UPND is that they committed very panga shortcut. Bamba na Bill 7 yoba aloterefi okufuma kachunani community house nga ni Anderson mazoka building kulya abene bayikala fye batontonga tufumyemu ekitubikemu without going to the people. They created their own imaginations. Tufumyemu ekitubikemu bapanga na bill bayita nokuita ati Bill 7. Now when it dawned on them that they had done a shortcut, they now went back into restarting the process. Bamba basta constitute a technical committee. But the work of the technical committee yalifiro okubomba, because the rules of this parliament entails that ida bill batwere ku parliament nga bayifumyamo tekibatwale mu bill yimbi ile under party constitutional amendment, unless nga twaisayisula parliament next year elobenga sta bill yimbi kwete the same things. So they were found in a tight corner. They did not have time to wait until to case the parliament mu February. That is why they decided to commit an illegality, and they just insisted kansha baba technical committee since bali pita mu bantu isentu bali bachitefe submit ifyo bapokere ku bantu kuli technical kuli ine select committee. Now you know I have said the technical committee's work ends at them submitting a report to the president. Nenchito yabo yapwa. But when they made the technical committee to go now and submit to the select committee. So yes, some of the work of the technical committee na isanga ilimuli Bill 7. As an example, the technical committee proposed that they create 70 new constituencies. Because Bill 7 had proposed 55 new constituencies. But technical committee, when they met they appeared before the select committee. They are the ones who proposed that they increase the constituencies to 70. So filefa bapangile technical committee, babula mutumu bayatola ku select committee, which is again illegal or irregular. It's constitutionally irregular that a technical committee should, after handing over a report to the president, should now go and submit to a select committee.
All right, well explained. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir. How are you?
Okay, thank you. Brian from Kamara South.
Brian from Kamara South. Kindly speak up a bit.
Okay, Brian from Kamara South, sir.
Yes, please go ahead, Brian.
Okay, good evening, Mr. Honorable Binwell Mpundu.
Good evening, Brian. How are you?
I'm okay, thank you.
Very well.
I think I have three for you. That can answer for me. The first question is, what have you done if you were part of UPN? What have you done yourself part of UPND as government? Number two is, in Bill 7, what clauses do you think are bad for this country, or that you feel that those clauses were not supposed to be in Bill 7? Then one day you become the president of this country. What process would you feel would be okay for you to run a parliament? Is it a technical committee, or is it parliament? Or what process are you going to use? If you say they did the legality in passing this bill through the technical committee and all other consultations that were done,
Okay.
if you are a president, or if you become a president one day, tell us what process are you going to be using?
Right, Brian, thank you so much for calling.
Right.
Okay, your response, Honorable.
So Brian says, what would you have done if you were part of the UPN? I think it means in regards to
Supporting the bill.
Bill 7. I was district commissioner of Kitwe when the PF embarked on the process of amending the constitution using what they called Bill 10. I remember, and the records are there, anyone can check. I was sitting in the office and I argued and refused some of the provisions that Bill 7, or rather Bill 10, contained. As an example, PF was proposing that for a civil servant to go and participate in the election, he must have resigned for at least the last 2 years. I refused publicly and I refused privately in our meetings. I refused other provisions which made the president then appoint a team led by Honorable Nakachinda then to go and get consensus over those which became now source of concern. As an example, the requirement that civil servant must resign 2 years before they can participate in an election. If I was part of the UPND today, I would still insist with my colleagues that we do what is right according to the law. What is right according to the law is to amend the constitution using a proper process that starts with the people. I would still insist without fear or favor. Oh, by the way, Brian, me, I am a man of principle. I don't move an inch when it comes to principle. What I believe is wrong, I believe is wrong. What I believe is right, I believe is right. And I don't shy away from stating my position when I believe something is wrong.
So even if somebody offered you some money to support something which is wrong, you wouldn't support it?
Never, my brother. You are telling me my offer. I would never sell my country. Look, we all have money. Okay, I want money right now. Nshikuete panondefo impia shakuba election kuchawama. Don't you think I would have loved to something? I would have also loved, but you see, impia shiwama washibo. Elo futi impia shakupoka uleshe chalo tempia. Okay? Now, number 2 question, Brian asks, what part of Bill 7 don't you like? Before I can even tell you what is contained in Bill 7 that I don't like, it is a process. I don't like the illegality that you have committed.
So before we even go to
before
the process.
you can even go, that is why even if you when you heard me debate in Parliament, I was just sticking to the process. Before we can even go to the contents, the process is illegal. Why should we even be discussing the contents when it is illegal? Of course, there are clauses, now that it is law, there are clauses I don't suggest or I don't agree with. And as an example, in the last couple of days, the Minister Bamuchima of Health has been fighting with the doctors, junior doctors, who have been volunteering. Do you know that we have got over 1,000 doctors who are volunteering across all the hospitals across the country? Do you know that we've got nurses, we've got clinical officers who have been volunteering for years, who have not been employed or have not been recognized in any way by government? Instead of looking for money to employ lifesavers, doctors, nurses, and the clinical officers and the like, we find it convenient to look for money to employ 113 MPs. Imwe, do you know, Brian, how much it costs to keep Binwell Mpundu? When the people of Nkana employed me, government had to make sure that I've got Chimoto Kechikalamba, I've got a good office, Naba Bonfimo, Kuno Kulusaka Panteko Njikala, I have to have a room, nice, kulangwashisha, ukulanjipikila, all those things. And ukulamfolesha, salary bamfolesha, na ma allowance bamfolesha, na gratuity bakamfolesha. Do you know how much money that is? Do you know how many doctors, nurses can be employed in that money for just one MP? And then you want to create 113 MPs. But your health facilities need doctors, nurses, and clinical officers. At a point like this, when the doctor-patient ratio is so high, government should have prioritized employing lifesavers as opposed to employing a politician. So I don't subscribe to ballooning the already ballooned parliament by more politicians who are going to be getting hefty payments when we have so many problems in this country where farmers are not being paid, but it's the rain season. Today is December. December 17th, is it 18th? 17th. Farmers have not been paid. Okay? The money we want to be spending on those politicians we want to employ would have gone into increasing the number of beneficiaries on the FISIP program so that they produce food enough for the country to feed on and enough for the country to export so that we can make more money.
All right. Let's speak to more people. Let's pick up this one. Before you answer our last Brian's question, let's hear from this one. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Fine, thank you. How are you doing this evening?
I'm very sweet, and how are you doing this evening?
We are okay, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
You're making the honorable laugh now in studio.
I'm very humbled to have this opportunity to talk to this gentleman.
Indeed. Please go ahead. Give us your name.
My name is Montumusoso.
Montumusoso. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. We are praying for people who have stand up against this tyrannical regime, like Honorable Binwell Mpundu, Kandire, Ambassador Emmanuel Mamba. God is watching, and God doesn't sleep over his people. Okay? God doesn't sleep over his people. What is there is that this is totally unprecedented, Mr. Moderator. It has never happened in the history of this country. Where the church has spoken, the Catholic Church, the Evangelical Fellowship of Zambia, Zambia, the Council of Bishops, everybody, including the Law Association of Zambia. And a bill goes on like this. And who is paying for all this? For all this, we are hearing that many members of parliament were thrown somewhere, locked up. Who is paying for all this? Because right now, as I'm talking to you, right now, when you could go at Levi Manawasa, there's no vancomycin there. There's no vancomycin. Right now, as I'm talking to you, in all these public hospitals, laboratory services are totally dysfunctional. People of Zambia were told that the Patriotic Front is a wasteful government. They buy a pen at 2 kwacha, they go and sell it at 30 kwacha. Today, we are hearing that MPs are being given 3 million. And the farmers are languishing all over. We are hearing the most obnoxious kind of reports that, first in the Tigurisa Milisi Malawi. That's when we are going to pay. Have you ever heard such kind of an explanation from any government? That we are going to pay you farmers first when we sell the maize in Malawi. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are at a watershed moment. And this is totally unprecedented, and we are thankful to people who stood like Binwell Mpundu and those people who heard what the people are saying. These issues that you are forcing, what are you trying to achieve at the end of the day? I don't know. Don't you have a sense of shame that you are standing up to sign something that everybody has rejected? Everybody has rejected, literally forcing this thing in the, on the Zambian people. So what we are saying is that we must always stand up for what is right, no matter what the cost is. And we are very thankful for people who have stood up to this bankrupt, tyrannical, cheating government that has brought hunger. Unga lelo, shaking unga 316. 316 unga. Somebody has got money to go and procure. And you see, we are hearing all sorts of things that the mines, the people who are sponsoring, so that they can rape our minerals and everything. Ladies and gentlemen, in this country we are in a mess. This is a terrible mess, my friend, and this distraction.
Thank you so much for calling.
More than 100 years to correct.
Muntu Mususu. All right. Honorable, there was one question that Brian asked before you comment on.
So Brian says, other than the technical committee, what other means or ways would you use if you were president?
Indeed, indeed.
First of all, let me state here on national television that the Constitution still has areas that needs to be refined. There are so many issues in the Constitution that needs to be changed.
So we need more amendments.
We actually need a lot of amendments, except we need a complete overhaul. We open up the entire Constitution, including Part 3, which is the Bill of Rights. Because there are certain rights that have not been included in the Bill of Rights that must be included. So we need a holistic approach to amending the Constitution. There are certain provisions, for instance, that I don't agree with. The hate speech. Today, Honorable Nakachinda is being jailed for saying the people, Achani, what is that word? Atabatutu, Ubututu. Imo, Ubututu, which was hate speech.
What does Ubututu mean?
Ubututu is that you are illiterate. Me telling you that you are illiterate can be hate speech. What is this hate speech that we are now using to punish people? Those are some of the laws that you must remove completely away from our law books.
So if you were president, you were going to remove all of those?
Out. It is just a law used. Those were laws that were enacted under the colonial masters to deal with you and me. Seditious practice. Somebody says, defend yourselves. Church used to say, defend yourselves with equal measure. If they come with a panga, use a panga. It is within the law. But today, Church is saying, because Narandati, defend yourselves. It is a law that is abused because it is too vague. Okay? The proceeds of crime law. Again, it is another law that is used to punish opponents. Umuntu mwasanga fenakula bwinenganda, no proceed of crime. You cannot suspect me, or you cannot say Binwell suit mfuere na iwama. You don't have the capacity to buy the suit. So we suspect that it is a proceed of crime, without you telling me which crime I committed for me to buy this suit. At least there's a judge, a judgment now that has dictated that if you are going to allege that it is a proceed of crime, you must link that accusation to a crime. But you see, those are laws, archaic laws, vague laws that are being used to persecute political opponents. They must be removed from our books. So if I was president, I would want to suggest that we all agree to open up the entire constitution and agree what must be removed and added. But if I was president, we must put up a team. So Brian, the technical committee that was constituted by President HH is not wrong. What they did going around the country is not wrong.
What is wrong? What
is wrong is that the work of the technical committee is not what has become Bill 7. Okay. The work of the technical committee is what must go to Parliament as a constitution amendment bill. So whatever the technical committee did, which I can also do, constitute a technical committee, they go around the country with sufficient time, sufficient time to collect enough views. They put together a report which must come to me as president. I table it before the cabinet, give it to the Ministry of Justice. They put up a bill. That bill must be gazetted. The people reads about the contents that have been agreed. Then it must be taken to Parliament. The only puso reported by UPND is that when the technical committee collected what they collected and they took the submissions to the president, but President Yadiyama submission, bari ya posa, and still looked back to the same bill that he had deferred from Parliament. If I was president, I would go back to there.
So do you think that's the reason why, the report was not gazetted?
They did not gazette that report. It's because they were running out of time.
Okay.
Like I said, under this life, they could not have introduced the bill because they were late. They needed 30 days. Again, they could not have introduced the bill in the same life of that parliament because amaruzi ya parliament yala ndokweba ati nga mwafumia bill mu parliament, you withdraw it. You can't bring back another bill either under pachintu chimochine
with the same agenda.
Exactly.
Okay. Let's just pick up this one. Hello. Good evening. Good evening. Please give us your name quickly and where you're calling us from.
Oh, I'm Mr. Tembo. I'm calling you from
the Tembo in Livingstone. Please go ahead.
Yes.
Honorable Mpundu is with me.
Good evening, Batembo. How are you?
I'm very fine.
Thank you.
Yeah, my question is, what happens to these MPs? This Mwingalato, which we have seen, amending the Bill 7, when they lose power, because to the look of things, they will not grow through this 2026. What might happen if the government will change?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Tembo. Okay. All right.
Very simple, Batembo. If or when the UPND loses power, when we come into power, the movement for good governance, when we take over this governance,
are you going to persecute them?
We will make all those who committed the crimes, who raped the constitution, pay. All those of you, my colleagues, who were part of the process of raping the constitution, you must pray that government does not change. Because government in Ayachinja, if we are going to make you pay for raping the constitution. Do you know how grave the issue of abrogating the constitution is? It's an impeachable offense, even on the president. That's how serious this issue that we have committed is. So they will pay. They should pray they don't get out of power. They will pay. That I can promise you.
Right.
Okay? We the citizens, even if it will not be me sitting in there, we are going to demand that they pay. As for Muntu Mususu, he says we are praying for people who have stood up against the tyranny. The UPND have become a tyranny government, a tyranny, mad dictators who wants to rule by the fist, by fear. They first of all enacted cyber laws so that also ulelanda kumwikata pamukoshi kumutwala kujere. That is what tyranny, but dictator bachita. First of all is to silence all the critics. How do you silence them? Enact a law. They enacted the cyber law so that anyone who speaks, they will say, you are misleading the people, mujere. That is what the UPND did. Those are signs of a tyranny. So, Muntu Mususu is saying, we pray for people who are standing up against this. And he cited Mukandila. But let me cite Munia Zulu. Munia is a true hero of this country. Because despite being jailed, the people of Zambia must know, Munia Zulu has been serving a sentence. He has been jailed because he committed what they call defamation. Right? Where did he commit the defamation? He made a statement at a building in Parliament, the media center. The parliamentarians are protected by a law against anything they say, provided they make that statement within the precinct of Parliament. The precinct of Parliament includes the main building of Parliament, per floor, and outside the floor, within the building, and premises. Outside the premises, including motel. That is what the precinct of Parliament is. Munia Zulu makes a statement alleging that Bamusokotwani Badiriamo Mulidio College where, yes, that was defamation because it didn't prove that. But where did he make the statement? He made the statement in an area where he is protected or where he has immunities. But Munia Lerona Mukaka is serving a sentence. But this same criminal called Munia Obafienga is getting out of jail to come and defend the Constitution. He takes this Constitution process to court. The court even pronounces that this process is illegal. Munia Zulu, a convict. What are we doing, you and me, who are free? Just allowing this dictatorship to continue, allowing these illegalities to continue. A true hero. We must pray for Munia Zulu. And we must celebrate people like Munia Zulu who are standing up for this country even when it is not convenient for them.
Okay.
Okay? He says, why do we want to be doing all these things? Paying people. I don't know whether they were paid. I don't want to be caught offside. When the farmers have not been paid. I have said already. How can we be reckless as a people to insist that unless tukasitisha matabaku Malawi, meanwhile, the same government, Minister of Finance, is boasting that we have reserves. $5.3 billion reserve. Are you telling me, my dear brother? Namwebale umfuako. Unshare. Kuti umuntu afwane nsala apona. Afolushile. But nishina kwa tempia. Mutumba. Majumfa kwetu. Have you ever heard that somebody dies, collapses because of insala? But na kwa tempia mutumba. It's the case of Zambia today. Your minister is announcing, boasting that they've got $5.3 billion in reserves, but your farmers have not been paid. You want to go and borrow 5 million kwacha.
So you're too much in insala.
What does it mean? We've been sleeping in darkness for over 2 years, load shedding, but not what a $5.3 billion account. Because I am right mule kwata kwaya. Ni election. Iba mwen. Don't even be deceived. Mwa kalingalinga kumatelo kuchazanga that today you are having power at they've resolved the problem of power. Bale mizembele kafye ni election bamwene. When I asked the vice president, did you hear what she said? No, we now have power because kuliamenshi mukafyo yafumine kwi. Imobana lumango mufumishe kwi samenshi imfula irokele kwi. Elefo batubepa kwa tulitupuba. Imagine.
Honorable, as we are ending the program, what could be your concluding remarks as we end the program, Honorable?
Lesa alideko kupangefia. This is the last Zambia on the agenda of God to create. He created only one Zambia. There will never be a Zambia. This Zambia must be protected, must be harnessed. We must secure it. To protect a country, you must have proper laws that people abide by. We should therefore not allow people to rape or mutilate our laws, because without laws, a country cannot be governed. Again, you cannot enact laws that favors this group and goes against the next group. Time has come for the Zambian people to realize that we are headed for a disaster. We are about to create monsters who are going to have unfettered powers to be able to control all the three arms of government. The system of governance, icho tuwapangile by executive, by judiciary, by legislature, is that by executive ungabashita misbehave. There is by judiciary to hold them accountable, or by executive, or rather by legislature to put them in check. When you give powers to the executive to control all the three arms of government, this is exactly what we have done under Bill 7. It is a responsibility and a duty of all the Zambian people to stand firm and guard jealously the future of this country through ensuring that the laws are not mutilated, as we have allowed these or our constitution to be mutilated using Bill 7. But I want to tell the Zambian people today, this night, don't lose hope.
Okay.
Don't lose hope. They decided to pay la makana mano ayakuiteka. Eronga tuwasango kwe bature tuteka is taking us for a ride. There's 2026 that is coming. Don't even be told mibe poko batatokata my elections. Mulefwa na mutamulefwa ya my elections yena tukakwata mu 2026. Elonga kuba fumya po ba UPND, we are going to unite if it means uniting, and we are going to remove them. Because to allow anybody to abrogate the law or to rape our constitution, last. Kuti mwatuladike nsala. Mali tukabuka. Tukayaswa mango. Kuti mwatulo Paula using amakadas, watu chita abduct and all this, mwatula sama naifi. For as long as tatufuile, mali tukabano umweo. Patuku ikata kuti constitution, tekwesha. Ni red danger. You have crossed the line. By UPND, you must hear this. You have crossed this line, and you will deal with us next year in 2026.
All right. Honorable Mpundu, thank you so much for your time.
God bless you, my brother.
God bless